Life is the biggest obstacle to making progress in your jump training. Not just jump training, if you're trying to stay in shape at all, whether that's strength training, losing weight, playing a sport, life always gets in the way. The reason I've been able to improve so much in the jumping world is because I never stopped. And to do that, I had to learn how to stay consistent in the gym, even if I'm sick or if I have finals in school or I'm having relationship issues or a family member died. No matter what life throws at you, you have to find a way to stay consistent. In today's group call, we cover this and other topics like losing weight, how we stay motivated for so long, and much, much more. Hope you guys enjoy it.
How to get your adrenaline skyrocketing during a competition seems to play a major role in performance from my experience. I know this is pretty general, but any obvious thoughts? The adrenaline just goes up from the competition. Like that isn't something I think about trying to maximize. John has seen it. Anytime I'm going to be dunking in front of people or about to do something in front of a big crowd, I literally feel like I'm about to throw up because the adrenaline is pumping. And there's nothing I do that's like special to create that feeling. I would say that feeling comes from novelty. So if it's an environment you're not used to, that can play a huge role in your adrenaline. And knowing you're going to do well can also give you an adrenaline boost. But in my experience, it's not something that you can fake. It just happens. I want to start sprinting again. My pubalgia hasn't flared up in a long time, and I've been very careful with the rehab. Presumably start with 70% intensity and build up from there once a week at first. I used to only do 20 meters times 6 reps-ish. Also did some 10-meter band resisted excels. What do you think of that, John?
I think you can. I probably would start either find out what's the least provocative and do that. So if it's upright running, then do like a jog into a 10 meter. That way you don't have like hard acceleration angles. I would give it a try, and if it flares up, then come back to it in a week or so. It's definitely one of those things where you have to just pay attention to the scores. Like Cammy Colville has it. He's just getting over it, and he had his first flare up when he was sitting on a plane coming here to train. It is a bitch to deal with, and I always try to make that known to people before they kind of jump into the deep end and try to push themselves.
New cycle uploaded, introduction to volume. Last cycle was told to avoid knee extension because of my PFP on Monday and do it normally on Wednesday. Does that apply to that one? Since it's less specific and lighter loads, I did last Monday and it was fine. Also managed to progress on intensity over the last cycle. If that was fine, then keep doing that. This will be a good bridge between where you were at to where we want you to be at. You did 230 with no pain on power clean, played soccer with no pain, dunked with no pain only the day after, and it was very minimal. The only thing I would be very careful of is back-to-back loading. If you jump on Fridays, I wouldn't either do bottoms up or just skip the knee extension work on Saturday. And if you do that, assuming no ridiculous increases in intensity, you should be getting better week to week. The busiest part of my summer is basically over, and I will be able to get back to structuring my workouts on the exact days they're scripted. I have maintained the same strength levels, 375 on squat and 250 on power clean, and my body comp about 6'1", 198, 15% body fat. I believe I can be more aggressive in my cut by better tracking to get down to 190. I want to check how much I should prioritize at the expense of getting stronger. In my opinion, is if your body fat isn't like ideal, that is the thing that can make the biggest change in your vertical. So I would definitely, I mean, we saw that like with John, he dropped what, like 15 pounds. And
I think the heaviest I weighed in on a scale, like the absolute end ranges of each of these, was 190. And then the lightest that I've weighed has been 171, 172. And I don't think my outputs have changed drastically. Like if you were to look at the weight room, I mean, it's not drastically different. It's just that it's a lot easier, especially for 1 foot. Like 2 foot, I could probably get away with it. But like as a 1 foot jumper, you just cannot afford to carry any fat mass. And I've known this, but at the time I was in a relationship where I just didn't take care of myself the way that I needed. I wasn't prioritizing my diet and my habits the way I needed to. But it is probably the number one factor, easily modifiable factor that you can change when you start to plateau, and it'll immediately improve your vertical. Hiram Perry, he went from, he was like stuck at like 44, I think 43. It was one of those numbers, lost like 15 pounds of fat mass, and his vertical jumped up like 2.5 inches. So simply put, you have less non-functional mass. I've always said this, I think since as long as you can remember, right, Isaiah? As long as I've coached you, fat doesn't fly. Track coaches say it, I say it, it's true. There's no point in carrying more mass than you need to. You want to have a very, very, very low fat mass. We could get into the details of that. There's been a couple diet questions, actually, I don't mind answering, but maybe I'll make a video about that soon.
Yeah, it's I see it time and time again with.
But before I answer that, I just want to remind you guys that if you want to get coached by me and John Evans, Evans. We host these group calls once a week. You can ask us any questions just like this face to face. Go sign up for thpstrength.com and you can currently get 90% off your first month if you sign up right now. That's the best coaching on the planet, literally 20 million times better than a personal trainer for like 100th of the cost. So go sign up right now. And now back to the video.
Everybody, there's no excuse. Like sometimes I see guys that have been on our training for a while and they send us a video of them jumping and they're like 20+% body fat, and I'm just like, what are you doing? Like you need to like prioritize that. I wouldn't even be worrying about jump technique or having the perfect program. Like prioritize that above everything else. And I think it doesn't matter as much from what I've seen when it's like when somebody's already lean, getting that like extra percent body fat, or like I see it at dunk camp with some of the elite guys. Like they try to be like absolutely shredded, but I think to a limit. But yeah,
it's
John,
like sub 10.
John knows what
Like
I'm
if you're
talking
not if you're not sub 10, then yeah, you're gonna gain probably down to like 8%. You're gonna gain a ton of benefits, but going from like 8 to 4 is not really gonna make that much of a difference.
Yeah, it actually might hurt.
So he gained 2 kilos of mass and his squat went up 5 kilograms, but he's gone from 50 to 52 kilos, so he's super light. So in that case, that's really good. Like, you got to think 5 kilos for someone that weighs 200 kilos is not a lot. 5 kilos for someone that weighs 50 kilos is a lot. That's a 10% boost in your relative strength, which is huge. And that's like Isaiah going from like
it's like me gaining 20 pounds or something like that around, or like
or no, like your squat gaining. Yeah, it would be like your squat gaining 20 pounds, which is a lot. So right now,
where am I roughly in my macro cycle? I feel I've made a good progress across most metrics except squat strength. Are there any intense squat cycles that I can run to address my weak ass squat? You have a lot of them. Let's pull up your training.
Yeah, we're kind of moving into power work. It looks like you just finished up a little bit of. So yeah, we kind of addressed elasticity the last couple months, which is good, especially if you were able to handle that well. That stuff's really, really beneficial. Moving back into some power work here, still maintaining like relatively high plyo contacts, like you're doing max velocity sprinting, you're doing 30s, power snatch in there, some depth drops. So you're kind of like in special prep, which is perfect. I would probably, for you, I would start playing more volleyball in like August. I think right now you could probably do one more short cycle and then maybe touch on some max strength, and then you can get into more volleyball work. So I'll time that up for you right now.
After my deload week, the 4-week cycle repeats or what's coming. I could see a significant visible increase in my vertical jump on my deload week. You're gonna go to the next cycle in the progression. So the mesocycle is just a small piece of a macro cycle, and as you move through it, the training gets more specific. So it's gonna transfer. You're jumping better. It's also gonna be more fatiguing, more intense. Depending on your training age, that's what's gonna dictate, and how hard you trained. That's what's gonna dictate how well you do in the deload week. So if you have a lower training age and you trained really hard during the first 3 weeks, you're probably going to see a huge increase after your deload week. That correlation kind of drops off as your training age gets higher. You might not see an increase. However, year to year, there might be a big increase as your training age goes up. It also depends on how you jump. So a 2-foot jumper might see a lot of gains from a max strength cycle, but not as much from a cycle where you're doing lots of depth jumps and upright sprinting and that type of thing. And it depends on what type of jumper you are too. Like if you short your penultimate, you run really fast and you have a more elastic takeoff, those more specific cycles could transfer more to your jump. So yeah, you said you're a 1 and 2-foot jumper. It depends. This is what me and John call data acquisition. We're going to get data, see how you jump, and then go from there and use that data to write the next cycles, as long as you tell us in the chat. Currently on my deload week for this training cycle. What can I expect for the next cycle? I'm projected to jump significantly higher the next time I do a dunk session. Literally what I just told Sylvie. So you're someone with a higher training age, which means when you zoom in into one training cycle, the chances of you PRing are lower. However, when you zoom out and you look at progress year to year, that's when you do see progress. I would watch the last like educational video I just put on YouTube, because it basically covers this exact thing. If I could give one piece of advice for both of you guys, take expectations completely out of it. Don't expect to PR. Don't expect to jump high. Just go there. This is so corny, but it's so important. Go in. The only expectation you should have is to have fun. Enjoy it. All right. Enjoy the session and then acquire data. Those are the 2 things you do when you go have a jump session. That's it. No expectations. Are there certain things you coaches recommend I always listen to you about versus things that are more flexible or up to personal preference? I would say the non-negotiable is things that we say could lead to you getting hurt. So if we say if you do X, Y, and Z, you will get hurt, listen. However, if it's should I lower him versus higher him, and we say you probably will get more benefit from doing low rim sessions, but you enjoy dunking on a higher rim, go dunk on a higher rim. Do you have any tips for balancing mental health with training? There are days when I'm going through things in life and don't feel like training, but I still show up. I'm curious, have any of you guys gone through tough times like that, and how do you handle it?
So this is a fun question.
Yeah, yeah. So the first thing I want you to do, and I'll my personal anecdotes here as well. Go to classroom on school, go to jump training course, and go to mindset. Takes you to this Google Doc. So I'll read this first part. Indisputable truth, training is going to be difficult. You're gonna have periods where you're low motivation. 50% of jump sessions, just statistically, are going to be below average. 50% of lifts, statistically, are going to be below average. You will get hurt. You will lose vertical. If you can dunk, one day you're never going to be able to dunk again. There's going to be athletes who are better. There's going to be athletes that make more progress more quickly. Guys that don't get as hurt. Your genetics will be more ideal. You're going to get sad, frustrated, anxious, stressed, overwhelmed. External factors in your life are going to get in the way of your training. I read that to say, and I would read the rest of it because I go on strategies on how to combat those things. But I say that just to say that no, you're not alone. We all deal with it. Every single person in this chat has dealt with it. I actually just uploaded the YouTube video of my last session where I had a flight time PR. And at the end of the session, I was talking with John and I was just like, yo, like I was in a spot where I had to come to terms with the fact that I might never reach 50.5 or 51 or 52. I might never reach 50 ever again. And dealing with a lot of injuries this year, stupid injuries because of me making wrong decisions. A lot of workout sessions where I was questioning, I don't have to be doing this. I've accomplished everything I ever wanted to in the dunk world and in terms of jumping. But I kept showing up. I kept showing up and drudging through the terrible workouts. And there was also good workouts and enjoying those. And it led to me, hitting a PR after a year and a half. I think is the last time I hit a PR. Flight time wise, that was 3 years. I haven't had a PR on a flight time since 2022.
That's kind of crazy to think about.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey,
So
congratulations, guys. Congratulations to Isaiah.
So I say that to say that it's about sticking with it and enjoying the actual process. And you've probably heard this so much, but it's literally the most important thing. It's like enjoying the training, enjoying the workouts. John, actually, let's stop talking about me. John was in a big hole, like a really, really big hole. He
It was
wasn't
rough.
he
I couldn't
wasn't
dunk.
even able to dunk. He was going out here in the sessions and there'd be sessions where he wouldn't even put a single dunk down.
I would go out for 40 minutes, probably since I moved. Before that even, I could not dunk. After my birthday, and then I switched to 2 foot and came back to 1 foot, I just could not dunk off one. I literally lost it until I could do it rarely, almost a full year and a month. I just could not dunk off 1 foot. Part of it was I detrained. Part of it was I was dating someone, like I said earlier, that didn't support my habits. And then I also was distracted with work and doing other things and not my training. And you guys imagine, you think it's tough sometimes for you. Imagine how much shit I got on the internet where this is my full-time job and I coach the highest jumper in the world. Like every single video getting some hateful comment. And you have to have a deep inner knowing and understanding of why that's happening and understand that it's just a season and it'll pass. And if you stay the course, you're going to improve. I would encourage you guys to lean into that and trust and it's so cliche, but trust the process. We're doing the work for you. All you have to do is make sure you're not fat and you will get better.
And as far as actionable things, one, start going to therapy. I can't stress that enough. We're not as much as we help guys with mental health over here at THP, and we should probably hire our own therapist.
Yeah.
We're not professionals when it comes to this. So start going to therapy. It's helped me. It's helped John. It's helped everybody I know that's gone to it. Two, I would start a meditation practice. It's one of the best things I ever did and allowed me to handle some very hard life situations over the last few years. And then three, read some books about stoicism. Meditations is my favorite one of all time. Ego is the enemy, obstacle is the way are the really, really good ones. I would probably start there. And that'll be a good starting spot for that. But sorry I spent so much time on this question, but I think the reason I am focusing on this is because if you just take care of what we just talked about in the last 5 minutes, you will get better. If you just take care of that and then just do the workouts that we give you and talk to the coaches in the chat, you will get better. You will hit your goals. verticals. Just stick with it.
My verti's been steadily going down since the end of March. I'm currently on month 8. Do I need to fully? Yes, 100%. If your vertical has been going down since March, it's time to unload. I think one of the biggest mistakes people make is they train on our training and then don't communicate that things are not progressing the way that they expect. You need to unload. It makes sense based on what I'm looking at here with your training. I would probably just start now. I'm just going to throw you on an unload now. This is the fun part. And you can ask Isaiah. Sometimes it takes a little longer than what's expected. So just be patient. Each week, your vertical should go up if you do the training correctly. So you want to touch on qualities on Monday. Wednesday is pretty easy. You just do it to stay healthy. And then by the end of the week, you should be really, really fresh for jumping. So I adjusted that. Just curious, what are your best 40-yard, 100-meter dash and high jump PRs? My 40 time, I never measured, but I think it equated to like 4.6 mid, something around there, like laser time. So not like NFL combine time. I probably was high 4.5s, low 4.6s. My 100 time, based on my officially, I've run like I've like in high school, I think I ran like low 11s, maybe in the 10s, high 10s, maybe once, but that's pretty much my peak for those. And then high jump, I jumped 6'4" numerous times, like with a bar, and then a bungee, I've cleared up to like 6'7" to 6'8", something like that, but I'm not that good. Isaiah, 100 times best on paper is 12.1, but I guarantee he can, if he worked on speed endurance, he could run in the 10s, I think. 40-yard dash, he actually has only run like a 4.9, but that's with a first hand movement, like a true first hand movement. If he did it the way that NFL players do it, he would probably run around the same I do, like low 4.6s, high 4.5s, maybe a little faster. And high jump, you guys have seen he's jumped 7 foot off 2, and off 1, you've jumped 6'4" officially.
When I was 16, yeah, or 17.
Yeah. Oh,
My vertical has gone up like probably almost a foot
one
since
off
then.
one. Yeah. That's kind of crazy. Yeah, maybe you jump 7.6 now. Yeah. Decathlete here. I have some.
I'm a right leg speed jumper, so
I know. Yeah, we just got to get you to lean back. You might tear your hamstring, but I'm totally cool with it. Your ankle and foot is my bigger fear for you, is exploding your foot into a billion pieces. Decathlete here, I have some PT pain in my jumps, and I'm using your program to be pain-free. PT pain. That's patellar pain. Is that what that means? I'll use the program throughout the whole season as well. Integrated with my decathlon training. Pain is only with my jumps at intensities greater than 80%. Would it be wise to wait? I think he means patella pain. Would it be wise to wait until my pain is good before I get to decathlon summer training, or can I get into it now? So I'll answer that question first. If you are feeling pain at intensities greater than 80%, then you need to stay below 80%. Or if you go above 80%, then you need to do strength training, slow strength training the day after, and ISOs the day after that, and then rebuild that back up until you can jump at 100% without a major flare up. In terms of decathlon training, you could start it now. I just wouldn't do high plyo volume, and I wouldn't be long jumping and high jumping. I think you maybe could vault or do like some gymnastics, but you never really want to. I'm formerly trained as a track coach and specifically a decathlon coach. You never want to back off from the events in the decathlon. I think it's the biggest mistake that modern day college coaches make. They don't have their athletes do enough event work. I think that the Europeans do a really good job of avoiding that. And so that's why they kick our ass, even though we have way better athletes. Look at our 100 times, we mogged them with our best guys, but they just don't do enough event work in the off season. So I think start throwing shots, start throwing jab. You need to be doing vault if you can in some form. Those are the ones that tend to be the big limiters for guys like getting better. And then with your knee, I would be using the jump days as a way to increase the load capacity of your tendon. So that would be my advice. Also, how much decathlon training could be done by you guys? A ton. If you want to, I would just pay $100, get on a call, and I'll write out a month of training for you. That would be the best use of your time. I really enjoy doing that, and it's a lot of fun for me. So a ton. I'm programming my own stuff on a club team, of course, maybe not throwing technique, but like upper body lifts. The biggest thing with throwing is throwing. I think like technical stuff, people fuck up with that. For example, Donovan, the first day he picked up a 16-pound shot, he threw it like 13 meters. Now, if you're a decathlete, you understand that that's fucking ridiculous. That's like unheard of. That's better than guys who have been throwing shot for like 10 plus years. And the first time you picked it up, first and foremost, you got to be a freak. And then the second thing is you just have to practice the throws. People overcomplicate the shit out of them. I didn't teach myself how to throw baseball by doing 1,000 baseball drills. I went out and threw the fucking ball from center field to home plate a ton of times, and I got better at throwing a baseball. And I think a lot of the time guys overcomplicate the throws. I think if there's like big problems, yeah, but just go out and throw as much as you can, just like you would jump as much as you can. Jumping and throwing are like synonymous. They're so similar, and people don't realize that, but they're big time constraints, high forces on the ground, especially shot and disc. The training is almost identical to each other, which is kind of funny, but 2-foot jumping specifically. Get out and throw as much as you can, as much as your fingers allow you for disc, as much as your shoulder lets you for jab, and as much as your wrist and hand will allow you for shot. squat. Yesterday, I did 3 sets of 8 front squats, 3 seconds down, 3 seconds up. Since I'm still recovering from my quad injury, I really struggled to go heavier. I rarely did it before signing up for THP. It was really hard for me to stay in an upright position. I felt like I was choking myself with the bar when I thought I had the right position. When I tried to not choke myself, it was tough to hold in my wrist. Do you guys have any tips or drills on some mobility that might improve my form and allow me to go heavier? That's super common. What you're feeling is essentially the discomfort from the bar sitting above the AC joint. So the bar sits on, I mean, you can see if you watched my story, I did 425 in a bottoms up front squat, and the bar sits literally across right above my clavicle, but it's on the AC joint. So I kind of shrug up. So one thing is you want to get your elbows as far in as you can, because what'll happen is your shoulders will rotate forward and you'll create a good rack position. The second one is you want to make sure that your hand is open. I keep all the fingers under the bar, but if you don't have good mobility, then keep 2 fingers under the bar or 1 finger under the bar. You want to keep your elbows up and your shoulders specifically up. So if your elbows start to drop, what happens is the bar will start to roll downwards because now your shoulder girdle is rotating backwards into retraction, and now you can't hold the bar into position. It's really important when viewed from the side, and I don't know if you guys can see this, but when you're from the side, if I'm in what's called protraction, which is this position, I have a good rack position. If I'm here, there's no rack position. The bar would just roll down my chest. So you want to keep your shoulders in front, and you want to keep your elbows up, and you want to keep your shoulders up to create a good rack position. And then the other thing is just practicing the lift. I think that's probably one of the easiest things you can do. Just get an empty bar and every day go out and do 50 to 100 reps of the bar. It's low load. It doesn't cost you anything. It offers you a ton of benefit in terms of learning the motor pattern and getting more mobile. And that's how I improved my mobility and my squat technique when I was doing a lot of squats. So that would be my recommendation. Isaiah told me last week to do the shoulder rehab. I was doing it. Feels good. Can I do, instead of the seated bend pull apart, to do it with an A band neutral grip and do external rotation instead? Yes. For the bar internal rotation and external, can I do this with neutral grips? Will it be effective as with supinated grips? You need to do both because I can't do supinated grips. Do the one that doesn't hurt first, but then you do need to do the other one eventually. So find a way to do that, but you need to work into it. Stay out of pain first and then work your way into slightly more discomfort. See if it improves. If it doesn't, then you need to bounce back. I answered this question about lifting, but basically he said, I understand the importance of super concentric max eccentric work. I'm curious about the results. When you guys do this yourselves, do you see their eccentric strength rise proportionally to their max? Like someone who can squat 400 goes from lowering 500 to 600 at the same speed without max strength increase. Correct. So they will, like Isaiah's eccentric strength will go up. He will improve on the lowering. He'll be able to lower, like week 1 in a back squat, he might lower 495 or 500, but by the last week of the cycle, he's doing over 600. And his back squat concentrically does not go up. If anything, I think you usually test worse during those cycles because he's super fatigued and we're not doing much concentric work. We're definitely not focusing on it. But the bigger thing I think is it just flattens people out. I mean, eccentric work loads more type 2 fibers. It recruits more alpha motor neurons. You have higher neural drive as a result, and that's going to fatigue the system. So when you're doing a lot of eccentric work, the upside is your type 2 fibers are hypertrophying probably, and they're getting a lot of neural stimulus, and you're getting really good at yielding, which is a predictor of your success in stretch shortening cycles. The downside is that you're going to be super fatigued. You're going to be super sore. It generally, if done really, really slowly, can fuck up the augmentation of the stretch shortening cycle. You know, there's upsides to it and downsides to it, but you have to do it sparingly and you have to do it at the right time. If you do it too close to competition, you're cooked. I know any load of anything is probably going to hinder the process. I don't play a lot of basketball, but pickup is my vice. My question is, when do I play? Is it on the recovery days, post-recovery? The days I would recommend playing is definitely on jump days to warm up. And then the other way I would do it is on general days. So days where you have a circuit or upper body, or you're not loading your legs intensely. If you play at a 75% or less, basically anything where your legs aren't going to start burning and you're not jumping, then it can be beneficial. But you want to balance those variables. If you watch my most recent video on periodization, I talk about that at the end of the video.